This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, everybody. Oh, look at this. We got a little of a camera thing going on here. How about that for fun? Let's try again. Hello. Wow, how was that for a funky little beginning? This is Dan Zehr. Hello, everybody. Welcome to CWK Live, Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I am so happy to be here with you. For some reason, my computer wants to default to the to my phone's camera, which I think is so funny. So who knows what that is about? Either way, I am happy to be here with you. Let's bring in our friends. Mary's here. Happy Monday. Mary, great to see you. Liberty says, hey, CWK family, great to see you. Robert, hello there. Good to see you, my friend. And David is here. Hello, David. Great to see all of you. Sorry about this. My screen looks like I am orange, but I am not, in fact, orange, as it turns out. So, there we go. I'm not a Togruta, but I am happy to talk Star Wars with you. Let's talk about what we are going to look at on tonight's show. Robert says he thought he was having a CWK fever dream, right? Jackson is back. Jackson about to be a Washington high school graduate. Hello, Jackson. Good to see you, buddy. We are going to talk about your top 5 moments from Tales of the Empire, The Path of Fear. Aurebesh lessons. Week 24, almost done with Aurebesh lessons and your comments and questions. Liberty says, the droids are malfunctioning in the Zehr household. Yeah, I've never had my phone want to be a part of the show so bad and be a camera, which I thought was pretty entertaining. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
Honestly, news-wise, we're just going to jump right into our Aurebesh. Do our little Aurebesh lessons here. It's nice. Nice to know we're almost going to be done with this. It's been really quite an experience, hasn't it? Exploring Aurebesh and deciphering this language. It's not like that's the common misconception. It's not something you pronounce necessarily. I know this has some. It's never been spoken on screen. All right, Aurebesh is something that it's written, right? It's like it's not an oral language. It's a written language. Mary says, danger, Will Robinson. Oops, wrong, Space Family. You know what? That would be an interesting podcast, wouldn't it? Let's look at what we got for this week. Last week was W, so we're at X. We're at X. We're going to go through all these again. A, B, C. I'm not going to sing the alphabet song to you, but this has been a fun experience for me. A really, really fun experience. So many opportunities to learn and explore Aurebesh. I love hearing stories too, by the way. Sometimes people will send me a message online or a text message, or they'll stop me somewhere and they say, hey, I'm learning Aurebesh because of the show, which I think is so fun, right? It's just a great skill. If anything, it's just really good for your brain to kind of process things differently. There's like the daily New York Times crossword and Wordle and Sudoku. There's all these great things you can do for your brain. And for me, I thought, I'm going to teach Aurebesh, and I'm going to try to learn Aurebesh. And so far, so good, right? I won't say that I'm fluent by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm so much further along than I was before. And really, that's the key, isn't it? You want to be better at this than you were when you started. Just little incremental improvements. Just like last year, I did 1 push-up a day for a year. So by the end of the year, you get up to 365 push-ups in a day. You don't do them all at once, but you build towards it. We're building towards that fluency, right? Last week was W, which was just our basic little rectangle. And this week is X. X is just a triangle, but it's a different kind of a triangle. It's not a solid triangle. It's a triangle with a triangle in the middle. It's like kind of 3-dimensional in a way. I don't know. Again, not an art teacher, just an English teacher. Liberty says, I saw a post with a wanted Obi-Wan poster and I could read the whole thing. See that, Liberty, that is so cool. That is so cool. Mary says, I've been really trying to read the signs on Batu, have taken pics of lots of signs, then come home and translate. Okay, that's cool. That's one of my goals, actually, to be at Black Spire Outpost and not need the Droid translator on the app, but just be able to do it. I think that would be fun. Liberty says, progress, not perfection. Exactly. You learn and you grow. You learn every day. You learn every day, right, Jackson? That's the goal. So there's X. It's a triangle, but it's like a little tent, right? But it is shaped like a triangle, but the inside is hollowed out. I know I'm describing this terribly. I apologize to anybody who has any kind of gifts in graphic design or art or geometry. I'm just a guy who babbles. I just like to babble. I can't describe triangles really well, but I'm doing my best. Robert says, I've always been a little confused on the shape of the Aurebesh X. It doesn't look like an X-Wing at all. Isn't that correct? Isn't that correct? Darren, by the way, says they got bored getting near the end of the alphabet, just a triangle after they picked a rectangle. Isn't that fun? Darren, by the way, got me the nicest Aurebesh template with my name. First, he got me one that said Dan, one that said Dan Zehr. So thank you, Darren. That was super, super cool of you. That was a fun surprise. That is probably displayed at school at my desk. Okay, there was X. Liberty actually sent me a great idea for a quiz later, but I think I'm going to save the quiz until we get to the end, right? We're just 2 weeks away, right? So by June, you're going to have the whole Aurebesh, and I think we're just going to do like weekly quiz or something like that because, you know, you keep that skill going to learn and to keep it sort of in your, all throughout the whole cerebral cortex, you gotta be practicing, right? We don't want our Aurebesh muscles to atrophy. Is that a thing? It should be. It should be. So there's X. All right. Very good. Lots of fun. Let's go ahead and jump into our top 5. Tonight's top 5, we're going to look at the first episode in Star Wars Tales of the Empire. The Path of Fear, featuring a very, very young Morgan Elsbeth and some familiar faces or droids from the Clone Wars. This is, I received this question quite a bit, and I'm grateful for the question. Very grateful for the question. Why aren't we doing all 3 episodes of Morgan Elsbeth first, and then all 3 episodes of Barriss Offee? Well, there's 2 reasons. One is I think thematically and from a storytelling perspective, I think the first episode of both Morgan and Barriss work really well as standalones because they're pretty rich in their own right. And episodes 2 and 3 go together a little bit more definitively. So then that makes 6 episodes becomes 4 weeks of talking about these. So you get part 1 is one episode, parts 2 and 3 is an episode, part 4 is an episode, and then parts 5 and 6 is an episode, and that's what we're going to do. And then after that, we've got The Acolyte. So schedule is set. Thank you, Lucasfilm and Disney. Really good stuff. So that's why we're doing it the way that we are. Let's go ahead and jump into this then. Let's give our top 5 for this. For me, I put the opening battle. There's a huge battle at the beginning. It shows basically the end of what happens on Dathomir. And the Night Sisters being attacked by the Separatists and Grievous and Dooku's army. And it's pretty horrific because now you have more faces with the idea of the Night Sisters. You know, are they the nicest people in Star Wars? No, but they're still people, and they deserve their own dignity in their own space. And the future Empire just takes them over. There's a lot of great visuals. The music is very sweeping. It creates quite a powerful scope. So that's why I'm picking the opening battle is my number 5. 5 for David. Having a different angle or a certain point of view of Grievous's attack on the Dathomir Night Sisters. Exactly. Gives you a different perspective. It makes it a little more personal in a way. Well, I guess with Asajj, that's more personal. I relate more to Asajj than Morgan Elsbeth personally. But it does give you a different point of view. Liberty says the animation style is beautiful. I really appreciate how rich the animation has become. I agree with that. It is really, really rich. Robert's 5, the automatic door hinged on the top and in the middle. You know what? I noticed that too. Pretty cool. Mary's number 5 is Diana Lee in Ensenado voicing Morgan's mother. You know what? I was today years old when I realized that. I didn't look at that. I didn't pause it. My Disney Plus still, as soon as it gets to the voices, it jumps to a smaller screen, and that drives me crazy. I wish I could shut it off. Maybe there's a way to. I don't know. But I didn't see that. So that's a good catch, Mary. Darren's 5, amazing battle and show those droids battling. And they are fierce. The animation on these continues to just improve and impress, I think. Let's see. It seems like we're getting more people tuning in as time goes on. So thank you so much, everybody who's joining us. We're giving our top 5 moments from the first episode of Tales of the Empire. This is the Path of Fear. Path of Fear. Because it shows how scared everybody is. The Path of Evil is what I put here. This is not the title of the episode. And I almost wish I didn't word it this way. But this is why I word it this way. There's a very clear fall from grace that Morgan Elsbeth portrays in the episode. Her anger, her pain, the way she pulls people in and brings them sort of over to her cause, not caring about them, but using them to fulfill her needs, her desires, her thirst for revenge. And it shows how these small little choices that we make slowly build towards this horrific climax. But it's all done almost organically, which is pretty crazy. Robert says, number 4, simply because it caught me off guard completely. The Night Sister being stabbed from behind through the heart with a lightsaber by Grievous. That also shocked me. Murray says the Facebook notification about the show is 4 minutes after the start. And that is weird. I appreciate that. I set this up actually halfway through Mother's Day yesterday. So it definitely was all good to go on my end. So sometimes that happens with notifications. I'm not sure why, but I definitely appreciate the heads up. Liberty's 4, Morgan Elsbeth says she's a survivor. We finally get to see how tough she's been for a long time. How she pulled the knife and took down the battle droid, showing how skilled she has always been. Yeah, she's an excellent fighter. And it was cool to see her like that. David's 4, learning about the Mountain Clan matron and their approach to life, not to immediately fight. Yes, to be more at peace. And to, I would say, avoid conflict. Not to give in to those aggressive feelings. Mary's 4, seeing Grievous again, we knew he was brutal and vicious, but this show really shows how bad he is. I'm shaking my head up and down. That doesn't really play very well in a podcast. But yes, I agree with you, Mary. It does show that. So much so that was actually, I believe, my number 3. Yeah, Grievous Mox. Look, he's pretty nasty. I've always thought Grievous was such a cool character. But this one, he really came across as mean. I mean, he's been mean in other things. Clearly, in the Clone Wars, he's been really mean and nasty. But this one really stood out to me because he kept yelling, run, run, and mocking Morgan Elsbeth, who just saw her mother murdered. And she's running away, very upset, scared for her life. He's mocking her while he's laughing, and then he's got that, digital cough. And it's really haunting, but it's very powerful, very visceral sequence with Grievous, and it really stood out to me, so I put it in my number 3. Number 4 for Darren was interesting how one clan is targeted out of all the others. Yes, I thought so too. Clearly the most popular, or not popular, but most powerful. Robert's number 3, Kathy Ang capturing the cadence of the voice of young Morgan Elsbeth. She did a very, very good job, didn't she? So much so that I had to sort of, when I realized that she was not the voice, it really kind of threw me. I don't know how I caught that, but I missed the fact that Diana didn't voice the mother of Morgan Elsbeth. But either way, interesting stuff. So there, my number 3 again, just Grievous and his presence, the way he mocks Morgan Elsbeth. He really stands out as being so sinister. Pretty crazy. So jump in with your number 3 as well. Liberty's number 3, the way her facial markings fade with the Night Sisters when their powers are broken, really shows the transition in Morgan's life. It's almost like, and I wonder, was that a sign of the magic of that spell going away, or do those markings, those tattooed marks, really kind of show like they're more vibrant when they're strong. I don't know. But I noticed that too. It was really interesting. 3 for Mary, the Mountain Clan's belief in trusting their way and not others. Just because one doesn't fight doesn't mean they can't fight, which is a fabulous quote that I really liked. David says, Joel Aaron's lighting the blaster marks cooling, lightsaber scrapes, flames, and more. Yes, Joel Aaron is just a master, and the lighting on this, absolutely gorgeous. Really, really stands out to me. Quite a bit. I'll give more people time. Looks like people are typing. I'll give you some time to type that in. I want to remind you of what we've got going on with Mouse Fan Travel. Do not forget, if you're even remotely interested in finding out more, you are invited. I am inviting you to join me and several members of our Coffee with Kenobi community on the Disney Wish, June 16th to the 20th, 2025. It's going to be such a great time. It's coffeewithkenobi.com/Disney Wish. Why do we pick the Disney Wish? Besides the fact that a Disney cruise is just an absolutely incredible experience, it has, as you can see in the picture, it has the Hyperspace Lounge, which is a Star Wars lounge. It's got a great kids area, the Kids Club, which is full of Star Wars experiences and events. The food is great. You stop at Castaway Cay, and you get to hang out with me and members of the Star Wars and Coffee with Kenobi community. When we went on the Halcyon last year, we just had the most wonderful time. And we didn't want to wait. You know, it's fun to travel with Star Wars friends. Not everybody can make it out to Celebration or other events around the country. But hopefully this is something that will be more possible for you. Daniel is here. Hello, Daniel. He says, hey, you folks. Long time to see. Daniel, great to see you, buddy. So nice to have you back on the show. Liberty's next one. The Mountain Woman says that the spells are broken as her markings fade. So I took it as her magic was broken, so her markings were put on magics and leave when it's gone. That's how I process it too. The magic sort of manifests itself physically through the markings on their faces. That's how I took it. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 is the mother's final speech. It was Mary quoted it earlier, just because one doesn't fight doesn't mean that they can't. And she also, you know, the way she dismisses Morgan at the end, not out of rage, but I kind of want to say forgiveness in a way. I mean, we don't see the aftermath at all, but we do see her tell Morgan to leave. But the tact that she uses when she's lost her child, but the way she handles it and the way she is very much in control of her emotions, does not give in to anger and hate. It's really powerful. It's a really impressive. She is so strong internally, more than we could possibly imagine. And obviously it didn't rub off on Morgan Elsbeth. I wish that it did. It did not. But that stood out to me. It really stood out to me. Liberty says, the animation of the flames was just amazing. It looked so real. Yes, it did. It very much did. Mary's too is Morgan's fighting skills already at such a young age. And if you got a chance, I got to speak with Diana. And she talked about the fact that people thought she did the motion capture for the choreography for the fighting, but she did not. It's just the wonder of Lucasfilm animation, and it's really good. Number 2 for Robert, seeing another faction of Dathomir. People on Dathomir, the Mountain Clan. That was cool. 2 for David, seeing how fear can be contagious. Not only becoming more fearful, the more Morgan spoke. The more Morgan... Why can I not say this? Nally becoming more fearful, the more Morgan spoke with her. What is my problem? Thank you for David for bearing with me while I read that. Daniel's next one. We just watched these last time. They were fabulous. They're really good. Darren's number 2. Most interesting to see Morgan Elsbeth's backstory. Yeah, and we'll see much more of that next week as well. Number 2 for Liberty, Morgan's resolve, how she punched the ground and touched the soil. She's just so driven in her life from here. I was really moved by that too when she clutches that soil and she's angry. It's like she's trying to grab onto something tangible that she can make sense of. But the dirt is where, her mother will be buried, and she's just holding on to these reminders of death and life. And it's just so mesmerizing. Daniel says the details in the soil when Morgan angrily grabs it in her fist is similar to what Liberty just talked about. Yes, it really stuck out to me too. Very, very visceral, I think. All right, let's go to number one. Number one for me was one that jumped out, and it's the mirror. It's mothers and daughters. Morgan Elsbeth is a daughter. Her mother is killed. She's the only survivor. The matron's, the mother, she is alive. Her daughter is killed. So it's the opposites. The mother does not give in to anger or revenge, but she finds peace in her pain. Whereas Morgan is extremely angry to the point where she's going to destroy so many people. I don't have a number, but so many people because of her anger and her rage. They're mirrors of each other. How each one of them could have gone had things been a little bit different, but your attitude defines you. And Morgan had people in her life to help her process this trauma, but she did not take it because she just wanted to give in to the anger, right? She's not a dark side user, okay? She's not. There's no evidence to support that, but she is angry. The dark side does not have a boycott on anger and fear and aggression. They don't. They just have really kind of honed it to their own sort of perfection. But her pain is so opposite from the mother of the Mountain Clan, and it stands out to me as a really interesting juxtaposition that makes both stories really pop, I think. All right, let's go to what we have next. Mary's number one. The Kinders knock it out of the park once again. Their music, along with the amazing animation of the fire lit scenes at the beginning and end of the episode, set the tone for Morgan's path. Well said, Mary. We, like the Mountain Clan matron, know where her journey takes her and how it ends. And it doesn't end well, does it? But you're right. Robert's number one. You must not assume just because someone does not want to fight that they're not capable of the matron of the Mountain Clan. Yes, such a powerful sequence. Darren's number one. Seeing how Morgan seemed to be and how the Empire began to change her outlook. Number one for Dave. Dave Filoni bringing fear and anxiety to the forefront as a subject to be aware of, discussed, and treated. As you have said before, Dan, narratives and stories are a wonderful way to discuss difficult subjects. Oh, I thank you for pointing that out, David. And yeah, to me, it's so easy to just sort of watch it and just enjoy it, and that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think that's something to be celebrated. In my class, I like using stories, or with my family, or just talking on the show. Stories are able to get you to open doors to conversations and subjects that are not easy to talk about. And that's why I like doing that. Number one for Liberty, the imagery of her world burning behind her in the final images. The Mountain Woman says she sees what is to come from Morgan, fiery and tragic. And she's right. She's seen her story. Daniel says the Armory Cave was a nice detail and showed a bit into the Night Sisters' way of life. It's true. That's a good point. Caves, as Jen Subchakchai and Dennis Keithley pointed out last week on Coffee with Kenobi, so powerful in Star Wars, always so illuminating. Speaking of illuminating, I've been very much enjoying learning from all of you about this episode. Next week, what are we going to talk about? We're going to combine the second and third ones, the Tales of the Empire, the Path of Anger, and the Path of Hate. We're going to combine them together. I think narratively it just works better, and for other reasons that we'll talk about on Coffee with Kenobi this week, as well as next week on CWK Live. But now, let's jump into Ask Dan Z. All right, got a specific question or comment on the episode or anything Star Wars content related? I got a lot of great questions from my students today about the Darksaber, actually. And a lot of them thought, or were not sure, is the Darksaber more powerful than other lightsabers? No, it isn't. Just unique because it's the only one that was made by Mandalorian hand. And, of course, it's got that black coloring to it. But no, it's the same power as any other one. So you can ask me questions like that. I'm happy to share anything I've learned or whatever. And I also want to thank you all, by the way. I didn't mention it too much at the top of the show, but yesterday was officially 11 years of Coffee with Kenobi. Started the show on May 12th, 2012. It continues to exceed my expectations bless me in ways beyond belief, and just bring me a lot of joy. A lot of work, but a lot of joy. And in work, I guess it's sort of like I like working. I like to be busy. I like to do things. I like to produce content. I like to write about Star Wars. I like to talk about it. I like to celebrate it with my friends. I like to celebrate it with you. And the main thing that this show has brought me is you, your friendship, your generosity, and your kindness of spirit, and your knowledge, the way you teach me about Star Wars. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm just so happy. I'm beaming because what a blessing, right? Thank you for helping to give me this life that I have in Star Wars. This Coffee with Kenobi community is just the best. And I'm so thankful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mary says, happy 11. Well, thank you so much, Mary. Yeah, 11 years of Coffee with Kenobi. Can you believe we're starting year 12 now? Did the show for 4 years with Corey. And then now here we are. Here we are. Crazy. Am I podcasting for another 11 years? Well, I hope so. If you'll still keep listening, I'll keep babbling. Whether it's just one person or more than that, I'm happy to keep babbling. Nick says, why did Ben smile at Luke in A New Hope before he disappeared? Oh, there's a fun question. Oh, I think it's because he knows that Luke is the New Hope. He knows he's giving Luke a chance. He knows that Luke has a great destiny in front of him. And I think that gives him peace to sacrifice himself. That's my opinion. In honor of 11 years of podcasting, what has been your favorite episode to record? Liberty wants to know. Oh, golly. Now, that is an almost impossible question. It's my own fault. I said ask me anything, didn't I? You know, I don't know if it's my favorite, but the one that stands out to me is the first time I talked with James Arnold Taylor, and I've told him that. I was so nervous before that show. It was within like a year of us doing the show, and like my stomach hurt. And I don't get really nervous. I've just made such a fool of myself so long in a very fun way. I'm not defacing myself. And I mean, it's fun. You know, you gotta have a good sense of humor about yourself. I think that's important. But I was so nervous and my stomach hurt so much, even during the conversation. But then after he started talking and he was so kind, I just felt better. I just felt like, hey, this is cool. We're doing something special. So that's one. I don't know if it's my favorite, but that one really stands out to me. Lori says, thank you, Dan. Hey, thank you, Lori. It's so kind of you. Thanks for your support. Next says, thank you for all you do for Coffee with Kenobi. Happy 11 years. I've learned so much from you in the community that has enhanced my love of Star Wars. Nick, that means everything, dude. I'm very glad for that. I hope so. I'm so glad. That means a lot. Mary says, Jad is an amazing individual. Yes, he is just a terrific guy. Daniel says, I'm so glad you started this aspect of the show for us during the pandemic. Daniel, thank you. You know, so I will be honest, sometimes I think, gosh, is a live show, is it something that people are enjoying? But you keep coming back, and the audience grows, and not only, of course, do you hear it live or watch it live on here, which is Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, but then the audio version of the podcast, which so many of you listen to. Liberty says, James Arnold Taylor is definitely a special person. We were blown away when we met him. Oh, I'm glad you got to meet him. He's a prince. You know what? I will say, when I recorded with him live, the Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, that was pretty cool. He walked up on stage, which he and I had planned for a couple months, and he goes, hey, do you mind if my friend comes up? And it was Kat Tabor. Yeah, that's great. So Kat Tabor came on with me, James, and Corey and Tom. We had the best time. We had the best time, and I'm having the best time talking to you. Thank you all so much. Here's to many, many more episodes of Coffee with Kenobi and many, many more friendships that I can't wait to get to experience with all of you. Thank you again so much. May the stars light your way. And remember, friends, this is a live podcast you're looking for. See you next time.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.